How's it going, guys? Pepper Beef Too Spicy. Hope you guys are doing alright. And today we're going to be talking about Noctis's wall pressure and wall game in neutral, etc. This is something that I think needs to be talked about because he doesn't have a very straightforward wall game. Because I think one of the things that people were like really confused about with Noctis when he first came out was how like his wall game seemed to be very inconsistent, and people really didn't know like what to do with him at the wall. So I think that his wall game is actually not too bad. It's pretty decent. It just can be a little bit risky at times, but at the same time he has some pretty scary options at the Range 0 wall mix-up game, so he's definitely a contender to make you make mistakes at the wall, and he's got a decent amount of good tools to make it do it. The thing that I was referring to mostly about how people were so unsure about him at the wall is because his wall combo ender used to be, well, it was really like consistent. Like, people always tried to use Emo Man as the ender, and sometimes it didn't always work. It would be inconsistent, and so people found like this stuff, which is, let me do this, but the problem with that is that it's punishable by toe kick on hit, and so the Okazemi for it is really bad. And then people found like this, but this does like really great Okazemi, but like really poor damage. So people were like really frustrated with like his wall game, wall combo specifically. But if you do manage to get, you know, the Emo Man enter at the wall, it is really strong. Very strong move, because that's probably one of the best wall enders in the game, I think. Maybe not like top 5, but it's up there because it just does so much damage, and you can't tech roll out of it. Also, one second. There we go. But anyways, in this video, we're going to talk about the ways that you can create wall splats with Noctis and pressure people at the wall. So the first thing we need to talk about with Noctis's wall game is we need to talk about all the moves that wall splat. He has a lot of strings that share similar moves, so I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'm going to talk about similar moves. For example, up forward 4, anything that has up forward 4 in it will wall splat, so that's down forward 2-4 and down forward 1-4. He has down forward 1+2, which will wall splat, and he has a lot of variations of that, so he has like 1-2, 1+2, and 1+2 also technically is in that category, similar moves. He has back 3-1, this is his fastest wall splat besides counter hitting down forward 1-4, because this is 14 frames, natural combo. So if if opponent's back at the wall, they do something -14, then you definitely want to punish with that. Or even if something's negative like 15, definitely want to punish with this since it does a lot of damage. He has forward 1+2, he has counter hit down 2-2, he has back forward 1+2. He has forward 1+2, that's really important. He has not running 1+2, but you know, obviously all the launchers would also qualify as wall splats. I think with this one you do that, yeah. He has roll 1. He has forward 1+4. Not forward 2+4. He has warp strike, surprisingly does not wall splat, but the rage drive actually does wall splat anywhere on the screen, so that's really consistent. Up forward 3, up forward 3 does. I think that's most of them anyways. Let me try to see if there's anything else I'm missing here. No. Well, yes, but you know what I mean. 4+2, warp strike, 4-4-4, 4-4. Oh yeah, 4-4, 3+4, that wall splats too. So he doesn't have that many moves that wall splat. But the good news, well, actually the last hit of Demo Man does wall splat, but if it hits weird, like an weird axis. But the point is that he doesn't really have that many moves that wall splat. So does he really need that many, like Leo or Brian, or for example, so many knockdown moves that allow him to wall splat? He doesn't really, because his wall game is centered around 2 moves: forward 4-2 and down back 2 and Emo Man, or a full crouch mix-up. So I'm going to talk about his full crouch mix-up in another more detailed video, but the things that like make his wall game so decent is his ability to keep the opponent at the wall, because it's pretty good, because his homing move, 4-4-1+2, is A counter hit launcher safe, it's one of his best moves, -9 on block, plus 9 on hit, and at the wall, turns into a wall splat. So, in this scenario, he's really good at keeping you from moving away because of just how dangerous his own move is, so you kind of have to stay there, because if you start stepping, you take this, and then that's another wall splat. So if he keeps people locked down at the wall, his main mix-up here that's a threat is the Emo Man, of course. It is the high-risk, high-reward thing, does 37 damage into really great Oki. If they get hit like this at the wall, that flop stun is back roll outable. You can back roll out of that, but that leads into like a range 0 mix-up. So there is that. That's the dangerous move, since at the wall you're of course going to be forced at range 0, so it's very similar to Paul. But you mix that in with a couple wall splat moves. You mix that in with forward 1 plus 2, forward 4 2, back 4 1 plus 2 is the 3 primary ones, and of course trying to get a counter hit with down 4 1 4 or down 2 2, and trying to mix in this string as well, down forward 4 4. The reason why these moves are so good here is because a lot of them have hesitation built-in mix-ups. For example, the main one I want to talk about is forward 4 and forward 4 2. Forward 4 is 17 frames, -9 on block, and plus 8 on hit. So this move, if you land it, it's like free mix-up city. It doesn't look like much, but it is incredibly, advantage on a hit. And you do the follow-up, you get forward 4 4 2, and that's a wall splat. The thing about it that's kind of weird is that if the opponent is not like point blank the wall, like right here, it's not going to wall splat. So that's a little bit something you have to be careful about, but it is his best wall splat move, since the mid of the second part tracks entirely, and it is only -11 on block. The thing that makes this really interesting is that not only is this a natural combo, this is a built-in delay. So telling the difference between forward 4 2 and forward 4 is kind of like slightly difficult, because of the built-in delay, you can't tell if I am going to do in forward 4 4 2, tongue twister, or I'm just going to do forward 4. If you hit forward 4, you get to do a mix-up for free. So, you know, you could start doing down 3, you could do down back 2, you could do Emo Man, you know, you get a lot of frame advantage, advantage to work with here. The thing that makes this thing not super OP is that forward 4 2 is not hit confirmable. But the good news is that since the second hit is only -11, you're not really going to get hit too hard, considering, for most characters anyways, that you had this blocked. And it's just it's a double mid, track second hit, and that's probably his best overall, like, in terms of, like, reward risk, his best wall splat move. But he has a lot of other options too. Besides mixing this in with Demo Man and down back 4 and down 3 and of course 2 and down back 2, and Emo Man, he also has back 4 1 plus 2. Back 4 1 plus 2 is another built-in kind of mix-up tool with another built-in delay. Like I said, he has a lot of these. Back 4 1 plus 2 is natural combo, and it wall splats. It wall splats from a farther distance than forward 4 2, about right here. And because it knocks him back further on the first hit. It natural combo forward 4 damage, does a lot of damage. You can't get Emo Man, because the thing you have to note is that if something is like late recovery, like slow recovery, you can't really get Emo Man, because for Emo Man you need a really clean wall splat, and you need to be really close to the wall. Or you need to like dash really close. Like I'm gonna give some examples of wall carry and see like how depending on your wall carry you can get Emo Man or you can't get Emo Man. Anyways, point is that back 4 is 16 frames. Or it's 20 frames? I thought it was 16. This one is 16. Well, frame data is telling me it's 20. So anyways, this is a 20 frame high mid. So the mix-up isn't really there for like the like mid-low mix-up, but it is still a natural heading wall splat move, so that's really good. So the thing about this move is that it is plus 9 on hit, and it goes into back turn automatically. So if you hit this, you get a free back turn mix-up. If you hit this, I think you go forward. No, you can't. You only go back. So if you hit this, you go into back turn. And he has 2 primary things here from back turn. He has, well, I guess 3 technically. Of course, he has the back turn 3, which is 10 frames. That's going to wall splat, but it's a high. And then he has the back turn down 3, which is the generic low. And he has uniquely back turn 2, which is a safe mid launcher. At the wall, you're not going to get too much, but you do get some damage, which is nice, and you do get wake up mix up. So the main thing here is that either people are trying to duck this, they're trying to duck that, Or if they duck, though, they get hit by this, and that's, you know, that's damage on damage. So with this though, because even on block, what you calls it, the mode has a built-in delay again. So, like, by the time you can actually delay this move too, slightly, but by the time that you realize that he's not doing the other move, you can already react and do a down 3. You can do a back turn 3, counter hit, whatever. You can do a back turn 2. That's kind of slow, but you know what I mean. So, if you try to press buttons on back 4, they get counter hit by this, which I believe might launch them still, yeah. And you still get your damage either way. I believe if you just do that, you just do Demo Man. Yeah, you just do Even Man. If they get launched like that, you just do Even Man immediately. It times itself pretty well. So that's a lot of damage, and if it's regular hits, you just do, what you calls it? You do 1, oh sorry. 1, down forward 1, forward 1 plus 2. Or down back 1, 1 plus 2 for the alternative ender. I'll talk about the enders in a little bit. But anyway, so this in itself, it's not a mid starting. It's a really good mix up for the wall because of just how, you know, nice and like protects itself kind of. I mean, the thing is, there's no reason to duck back turn down 3, because it's like, well, you know, who cares about that low? It's just a tiny low, doesn't really do that much. The good news, however, for Noctis is since he has a full crouch mix-up, this does take him into full crouch where he can do like this stuff, and since it's +5, and the opponent is not being pushed back like they usually do at mid-screen, then you can take advantage of the mix-up more often here. One of the downsides of the full crouch mix-up at the wall is that he doesn't have a high damage wall splat move from a full crouch. He has up forward 2, he has up forward 3, wall setting 3-2, he has wall setting 1-2, wall setting 2-2, which wall breaks and balcony breaks, but if you're at the wall, since it's 2 hits, it's gonna mess up the combo. And he has wall setting 4. None of these, however, are clean wall sweat. Wall setting 3 is, but you don't really get a high damage afterwards because of the weird wall angle. Best thing you can get is wall setting 2-2, which only does 42. So he's not really like high damage here because he can't, what you calls it? He can't go into standing. It's too slow. Let's see if he can crouch cancel. Oh yeah, you guess you could do that, but still, like, it's a little bit difficult. You can crouch cancel this. It's a little bit difficult. Point of the matter, though, is that his full crouch mix-up for the mid isn't as damaging as just like directly wall splatting like other characters. But moving on from that, so we talked about this, and we have back 3-1, back 3-1, which is a very similar move. Back 3 does not have to go into back turn, but it is negative on hit instead of it being plus like back 4 is. So back 3, however, is faster, 14 frames, 16 faster, so it's a lot better for that. So this is kind of good for whiff punishing at the wall, since you will get the guaranteed wall splat, and you can actually get Emo Man from this, so that's a good amount of damage. He can go into back turn from this, and it is actually plus if you go into back turn, but it's not as plus, it's only +3. So the same mix-up applies here, but it's not as advantage on frames. Personally, I prefer back 4 because it's a lot more, you know, confirmable, and because the move is slightly delayable, so it's slightly confirmable, and the frames are better for hit, and so just better for the mix-up. One thing you have to be careful about, though, is if back 4 hits it on not true, like, point-blank to the wall, or close to the wall, then you're gonna get, like, a lot of pushback, so it's not as good mid-screen, or even, like, slightly off-axis of the wall. Like, if I hit him here, it's gonna send him really far back. Make that over here. As long as his back is not, like, completely towards the wall. He needs to be facing me, though. Yeah, like, that's a lot of pushback. So you have to be careful about that. Warp Strike does not wall splat, unfortunately, so like I said earlier, the Rage Drive does, so if you can use the Rage Drive at the wall, that's probably a really good idea, since it'll force a plus range mix-up. What other moves did he have? He has this. Alright, so this stuff, the up forward 4 stuff, this is very simple. If you pressure a lot with pokes at the wall, the opponent, this is a very like standard Dragunov mix-up, is if they do press a button, they can get counter hit and they can get wall splatted by the second hit. Since Noctis has that move from 2 other strings, that means that the move is even more like usable at the wall since it walls back. But not only that, the move is a homing move, so it's also really good at stopping people from stepping. It also does more damage than forward 1+2, I believe, so it allows for a harder wall splat. Down forward 2-4, that's actually one of the things I like doing, is I like poking like this without the wall, because the opponent especially shouldn't really press a follow-up afterwards, because that third high is going to result in a wall splat more than a knockdown, and that's really dangerous. I think the second hit counter hits, then the last hit should hit. Yep, there you go. So that's a lot of damage right there. That's 40, and you should be able to get Eagle Land. Yeah, there you go, 72. So that's really good right there. You can still mix in the mid though if you want, because the mid, once it hits, you just get Emo Man, which is still fine in itself. So the mid and the high are both mix-ups in themselves. And of course the opponent could be afraid of the follow-up if they know about it. So either you could just keep poking with this and eventually do the last one when you think they're going to press a button or stop blocking, or just keep poking with it and you take advantage of the fact that they're afraid of that last hit, and then use a low or a mix-up, a wall up throw or something like that. I already talked about 4-4-1+2, is that this is just generally good to, like, if you're trying to, like, pressure opponent from a distance at the wall and they're trying to step their way out, then this is a really good option. So is up forward 4, but up forward 4 is high. One of the things that up 4 is not good against, though, is that it does low crush, so you can beat lows with it, but if the low is like a low profile low, like a Dragunov down 2, it's actually gonna like double whiff, because the move hits high and it hits really high, so it's easy to crush this move with stances and with low profile lows. Otherwise, what else does he have? Down back 2 is like it is anywhere else in the game. It is good. I mean, like, it is the same as it is at like the bar screen. I mean, the thing about this low is that it already had such great range, so it's not like it comes more into use here at the wall, especially since it doesn't have great tracking. Well, so it doesn't specifically become more useful at the wall, but it does become harder to step via backdashing. However, because you know, if you're doing it point blank, it becomes a little bit harder, easier to block punish, because some people, you can, like, a lot of people can actually launch it from max distance down back 2. However, when you're blocking it far, it sometimes the opponent misjudges, like, how close you are, and they don't always go for the launch punish. However, if you're doing it at the wall, then of course you're point blank, then, you know, you're gonna get launched for that regardless. If you do counter hit with this down back 4-2, you can get this as an ender instead, which is really good damage. Forward 1+2, you don't really want to use this at the wall unless it's a whiff punish, because the move is a really bad on block. I think at 25, so you can eat a delayed hop kick for this. It is really fast, 16 frames, and it wall splats very consistently. I think but it's another scenario if the opponent is like slightly ahead of the wall, it's not going to wall splat, like about there maybe. Yeah, that's a light wall splat, so you're not gonna get that. So it has to be a little closer to the wall. This one you only really want to use for whiff punishing. If the opponent is like doing whatever they are at the wall, you want to use that. It is very risky, and it is fast, so sometimes it's hard to like confirm the punish, but I treat it almost like a shoulder, where it's like it's just really fast knockdown mid. That is not, it's difficult to see coming because the startup animation is virtually non-existent in terms of being able to be reactable. But of course, this is something you don't really want to throw out too much because of just how easily you could die for it. So just use that move very sparingly at the wall. Also, it doesn't track well. Forward 1+4 is also really good at the wall. I think it comes out at 16. Let's see, I'm not sure how fast this comes out actually. This is 23. Oh no, this is way slow. It's 23. -14. And it's a power crush, so if the opponent is trying to mash their way at the wall, it's very self-explanatory. You just use that to wall splat them. Kind of brute forces his way back into the wall just by using the power crush. A lot of power crushes are knockdown moves too, so it kind of falls into the same categories. If they're trying to mash their way to the wall, then maybe you want to use forward 1+4. Down back 1+2. Since you're at the wall, it's a lot easier to use the charge version. It is -8 supposedly on block. I always thought it was plus, but that's what the frame data tells me. So the opponent can get really hesitant with down back 1+2. So, and it does create a lot of pushback when it's blocked. So you can kind of use this to set up like opponents' reactions to things, like what's their next possible thing, and then you can start reading that to create like a a wall splat opportunity. Roll 1 also wall splats. This is like if you've played against enough Noctis, you're gonna know that you don't really want to duck the roll when you're at the wall because of the fact that the roll 1 wall splats and you're gonna eat like 50 something. Yeah. So people, if they're weighing the risk reward right, they're not gonna duck the roll at the wall, and so you can hit them with this for free. And because he doesn't slide behind them, you do either get the choice of doing a mix-up, or you could do some guaranteed damage, which is down 3, and then wall standing 4, which is nice. Or you could go roll, down 3, full crouch mix-up. This is pretty good, but one of the things that's the problem with using the roll at the wall is that roll at the wall, sometimes the opponent will get like really off axis, like that, and the roll will not track at all, and then you just got like weird stuff happen to you. And that's not good, because so it can be inconsistent. It depends if the opponent's like not moving a lot. Remember that you can do it after down back 1 as well, so that's a really sneaky way to get into the wall. So you can kind of like use this with more liberty at the wall because of just how, people are gonna block mid because of the wall splat. Let's see, raw running +2. He has jump 1+2, which also wall splats, which is pretty much the only useful move from jump in neutral outside of combos. So you can use that. It's plus frames on block like +5, and it wall splats. It doesn't have any like tracking on it whatsoever, so you only want to use this when your opponent is really like frozen on the wall. I mean, you can jump to avoid a low, but jumping to avoid a low with Noctis' jump is just a really, really like weird timing to it. It does do a lot of damage though. Let's see. Okay, so 4-4-3+4, the drop kick. This is another like whiff punish type move. So if the opponent is like spacing and like in front of the wall, I mean with their back to the wall, then you can kind of throw this out hoping that it'll hit. Also as a whiff punish, but you gotta be really on point for it to be a whiff punish because it is pretty slow. It is a high. If they duck it, you can get float punished by it, again pick up from off the floor. And just because he does this roll here doesn't mean he can't combo. He can still do this combo for a lot of damage, and it is safe if it's blocked. It just leads him into face up situation where he's pretty much safe. He can't get floated. So that's another situation with that. There's also wall breaks, balcony breaks, which is all really good. Since it has a lot of range too, it's really, really good for getting those like really far away balcony breaks or wall breaks or whatever. It also does a lot of damage, 50, so this is really, really, really great as like, punishing your opponent into the wall. What was the other move I was talking about? Oh yeah, 1+2. So 1+2 is another one that's the same scenario as 4-4-1+2. It's just not as safe. This is another one where it's like if your opponent is trying to escape the wall and you're farther away, you don't always have to rush in with 4-4-1+2. You can always use 1+2, which is a range 3 move, natural combo, 41 damage. You can also use this as like a pseudo mix-up, so you can do like 1+2 back and then cancel it and then do like Emo Man. That's a pretty common setup with Noctis. The frames don't really allow it if it's blocked or if it's hit. I mean, if it's hit, it's -3, which gives you some leeway, but if this is blocked, you are -9. If your opponent is pressing pretty much anything, they will counter hit you, so you do have to be conscious of that. The move is slightly hit confirmable. Like, if you see it hit, then you can let go of back, but if you don't see it hit, then, just hold back the whole time, and you'll be fine. It's hit confirmable in, like, a weird way, but it does wall flat really consistent, and it hits from really far away. So about here. So, you can really, like, catch your opponent at a range that they're probably not used to, since range is, of course, Noctis' biggest asset. This is another really, that's not more than the full crouch mix-up, but the full crouch mix-up for the wall specifically, off 4-3 is your wall splat move. You want to crouch cancel and do this stuff, which doesn't do that much, but it is his punisher for the, his mix-up option to the wall. You can also do wall standing 3, which does a lot, but there's a lot of plus frames on hit. And of course you can do full crouch down 4-2, which tracks really well too. Let's see, what else does he have here? So the thing that kind of ties it all together, going over it quickly, is that he has a lot of strings that which have counter hit or natural combo follow-ups that do wall splat. He doesn't really have a lot of single hit wall splat moves. The only ones I can think of is like forward 1+2 and up forward 4. So that means that when he pressures at the wall, he has a lot more leeway in getting opponents to be very, very defensive. Because for one thing, he does have the Emo Man, which makes people want to duck because it is launch punishable, and it is obvious that you would want to use that at the wall. But because you want to duck, he has a lot of wall splat mids, but a lot of them come from strings, so you can't do a lot of like one-touch wall splat except for forward 2 or a forward 4. But forward 2 is the only one that's a mid, so you got to be really, really careful about that. Forward 4-2 is probably the best option overall because it's not kick confirmable, but the move does a lot of things. It's +7 on, +8 on hit, and then the second is only -11, tracks really well, double mid, does a decent amount of damage, you get Emo Man. But the thing is, the first hit does not track well, but even if it doesn't track well, that's okay, because all of his homing moves wall splat, like literally all of his homing moves wall splat. So with any range, forward 4, 1+2, up forward 4, anytime opponent tries to start stepping, then it's very easy to keep them back at the wall with his homing moves. And anytime opponent is really, really not wanting to duck at the wall, of course, you can always use Emo Man. You gotta be close, but the good thing about his Emo Man is that it is hit confirmable more so than Paul's, because this is jailing, so you have to block the high, and it is only -12, and it's only really punishable at the wall. And so you can always go into the last hit only if you see the whole thing trip. If he doesn't, then you can just stop at the second hit, and you'll be fine. I mean, it's -12, and that's not really that big of an issue. That's already that much of an issue. That's pretty much his, like, wall pressure game overall. Like, you want to just scare them with a lot of pokes. Oh, I forgot 1+2. And down for 1+2. This move is similar in usage to 1+2. This move also hits really low, so you can use this against low-profile characters like Eddie or Xiaoyu. So you can use that as well as a wall splat move once again. Similar purpose to 4-4, 1+2, 1+2. Just like another really good tracking mid that keeps them at the wall. Far distance, and it's mid, and it's safe, only -8. This goes for the same thing for 1-2. Down forward 1 and 1-2 have similar, like, poking wall splat moves in them. So, like, I can do down for 1, but you don't want to press the gun button because that last hit, the second hit will wall splat. Same thing for 1-2. If you start ducking for the 1-2-2, or trying to press buttons after 1-2, you will get wall splatted by the last move, which is 1-2, 1+2, which is virtually the same move as this. And this, of course, does a lot of damage. And wall breaks as well. Any move that, like, knocks down at the wall, like, with a lot of forward momentum, is gonna wall splat. Wall break. Except for Warp Strike, that's the only one that doesn't. But that's the gist of it. So, poke, scare them with this, get them to duck, and hit them with a few of these, do some back turn mix-ups with back 4 or back 3. He's got the roll mix-up that you can do at the wall with the 1 or the 3+4. Down forward 2-4 has a really good, down forward 4-2-4 has a really good built-in wall splat mix-up here. Both hits are dangerous at the wall, and you can poke a lot with it. So this one, and this one you can poke a lot with a lot at the wall. Also don't forget to use sidestep 2 at the wall, because that can really easily set up the wall splat scenarios. You can use that for whiff punishing, and this too, but that's really, really risky, so be careful about that one. And it's just, overall, it's a pretty decent game for Noctis. He has a lot of options to choose from, and he's got some really good options. In terms of combos, like I said, you really want to use Emo Man as much as you can. However, you can only really use it if you have good recover at the wall, and it's a very clean wall splat. So if I do, let's say, if I do back 4 1+2, the recovery is not as good, so I can't do Emo Man. There's also some scenarios where the second part of Emo Man, the third part of Emo Man will not connect. It'll like the opponent can tech roll before that happens. You can resplat, like if the last hit of Emo Man hits by itself, then you do get a wall splat, and then you just do Emo Man again. Oh, you can't. I thought you could. Probably a different wall angle. Probably just do this. Yeah. So the primary wall ender is like if you cannot get Emo Man, then you want to use down forward 1, down forward 1, 4+2, or 1, down forward 1, down back 1, 1+2, which gives you really, really good like recover at the wall. So in this scenario, I can move very, very freely, and I can already set up my next mix-up for the opponent. If they're stepping, use the homing moves, which all of them wall splat, so all of them are fine. It's just the only one that's mid is forward 1+2, so you have to be conscious of that. But not only that, it's just that it's -9, so you want to be a little bit careful about that. Let's see, what else we got here? 1+2, 4 forward 4, back 3. There was nothing I wanted to mention, but I forgot what it was. 2, down 4, 4, 2. That it. Oh yeah. His parry also wall splats as well. So if you were point blank though, let's see, how can I make jab, down forward 1, right? So if you parry, wow, I'm bad at this. Wow. There we go. You have to be really close for it to wall splat though, like clean, you can catch up in time. There we go. So most of the time you can only get that. I don't think there's a scenario you can get Emo Man. Yeah, that's actually a scenario, a good example of one time you can't get Emo Man because the wall splat is not clean enough, it's not enough time. So, most of the time you just want to use that instead. It is punishable on hit by toe kick, but if your opponent is toe kicking it, then at least you know what their wall, their Okazemi option is once they get up from the wall, so you can kind of use that to your advantage and keep them at the wall. Since it does keep them at the wall, and they're definitely not plus on hit, so you can continue a mix-up. It just lets them stand up and get rid of ground hit position. Also, his throw. None of his throws have wall splat properties, but his one throw does leave them close face down Okazemi position, which is really good. His back throw, his 1+2 throw, I'm calling it back throw because back 1+2, does give a little bit of spacing out, but not so much with the wall. If you use his 2 throw, it does position swap, so this does this both on break and on hit. So if Lars breaks this throw, it will switch positions, so... Well, now he's beating me up, so I can't do it. So anyways, you saw what I mean there. If you do, like, what you calls it? Oops, I keep not... There we go. Breaks it, you put him at the wall. So if your back is to the wall, you can use 2+4 to get out of the wall and put them at the wall, very similar to Leo's forward 1+2 throw. But if you if you use that and you get the throw, Lars will turn around. You do space out really, really far, but you do get like a running mix-up. You can come in with a couple wall splat moves, since like come in with like 1+2, come in with forward 1+2, coming with running 1+2. You can do a lot of things there. You just have to be very aware that it moves you very, very far away. But since Noctis is a ranged character, that doesn't really mean much for him because he has good moves at that range. Knockdown Okazemi at the wall. If someone stays down, you have down back 1+2, which is grounded. But because you're at the wall, you want to be careful with this because it is launch punishable on block, and at the wall you're going to lose the pushback, so you can get launched for free. That's why you do the charge version instead, and that's going to be a lot safer for you. And the same Okazemi options apply at the wall that it does anywhere else in the game. Down back 2, down back 1+2, but you want to charge it more often. Down back 1, 1+2, down 1, such and so forth. Otherwise, yeah. His Rage Drive, that's the last thing that I'll mention. His Rage Drive, when it's blocked, it's like plus a lot at the wall. Probably about plus 12 or 13 at the wall. So if you do get this point blank, like over here, he'll roll in. This is a free mix-up pretty much. You get a very, very, very free mix-up. The closer you are, I believe, the more plus frames you are. And the move itself wall splats anywhere on the screen. So you can use that, to get a bunch of damage from there. This is kind of obvious though that you will use this to wall splat. Once you have rage. So when you have rage and the opponent probably might be stepping a lot to avoid the wall, so you want to use your homing move to make sure that you remind them that this is, the rage drive is not the only thing you have at the wall. His rage drive also use wall splats on late wall splats, very similar to Leo's or like Feng's or whatever. So use that in mind. Also, a wall carry is really fun. And this one actually does break walls, I believe, because of wall splats. But yeah, that's pretty much his wall game for you. It's pretty good. It's not the best, but like anything he has, it's pretty decent. I like it. Especially like forward forward too. That moves is really clean for wall splatting. Otherwise, if you have any more questions about his wall game or whatnot, just send them in the comments, and I'll answer them for you to the best of my ability. Lars is twitching back and forth like a crazy person. I guess he can't tell which side I'm on. That's pretty funny. Never seen that before in Tekken. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.